in summary, we'll see in these examples that I'm going to be giving you that the verb form of be will be in red and the past participle will be in blue. Then you can see clearly what is what. So let's get started. So again, here we are. So we're going to look at the present simple passive. Here we have champagne is produced in France. So you can see that is the verb to be, and produced is the past participle, in this case, of the verb to produce. Okay, is, of course, is the present simple of be in the singular, or in this case with champagne, for an uncountable noun. So champagne is produced in France. And if we see an example in the plural, in this case we see web pages. Web pages, of course, being plural, are used to consult information, right? And this is the affirmative form of the present simple of the passive. Now, here we can see the negative form. Very simple. The verb to be in the negative. In the present, it's very simple. Is becomes isn't. So champagne isn't produced in Italy. We know that champagne is produced in France. It isn't produced in Italy. Or we can say that novels aren't or are not used to consult information. And if we look at the question form, in this case, the verb to be, as in all question forms with the verb to be goes in front of the subject. So, is champagne produced in France? And now we're going to start looking at the present continuous. So, in red, you will see the present continuous of the verb to be. Of course, we form the present continuous of the verb to be using the present of be, in this case, in the singular we use is, and the present participle of the principal verb. The principal verb, in this case, is be. So then we say is being, and then the participle of the verb to repair is repaired. Okay, so my car is being repaired today. If we look at the plural, in this case we have chairs, so then we use are. So his old chairs are being painted this week, right? My car is in the garage. I've had some problems with my car, so my car is being repaired today. My brother wants to renovate some chairs in his old house, so his old chairs are being painted this week. In the negative form, very simply, we take the first part of the verb to be, isn't, or is not, so my car isn't being repaired tomorrow. Yes, I told you it's being repaired today. And his old chairs aren't or are not being painted next week. In the question form, then we can see that we have the compound verb is being. We take the first part of the verb is and we put it in front of the subject, my car. So then we say, is my car being repaired tomorrow? In the plural, we do exactly the same. We take the are and we put it in front of the subject. So, are his old chairs being painted this week? Okay. Now, let's look at the past. It works exactly the same as the present, but instead of is or are, we use was or were. In this case, my car was manufactured in Germany. And in plural, my parents' cars, notice I say it is my parents in plural, so the cars of both my parents were made in Sweden. Yes. If it was a negative, we would say my car wasn't manufactured in Sweden. I told you before it was manufactured in Germany. And my parents' cars weren't made in Italy. Let's go to the question form. Exactly the same as in the present simple. We take the was, the verb to be, and put it in front of the subject. We say, was my car manufactured in Sweden? No, it was manufactured in Germany. Or, were my parents' cars made in Germany? No, they were made in Sweden. Okay, so that's the past simple. The past continuous, another variation of the present continuous. In this case, we have was being. So the road was being resurfaced this morning. When I was driving to work, I was delayed because the people were working on the road. The road was being resurfaced this morning. In the negative form, exactly the same as the present continuous, but with was. So the road wasn't being resurfaced this morning. Or we could ask the question, were the flowers being watered when you arrived at work? Okay, the present perfect. Another compound verb, the same as the present continuous. So then, in red, we have the present perfect of the verb to be, which is has or have in plural, and then the participle of the past participle of be, which is been. And here we have bought, which is the past participle of the principal verb, the verb to buy. So, a lot of food has been bought today. Yes, it's Friday and people are buying a lot of things for the weekend. Yeah, so a lot of food has been bought today. We're talking about plural web posts, for example. Here we can say 5 web posts have been posted this week. The negative works the same way as the normal present perfect. The football match hasn't been played today. It's rained a lot and the football pitch isn't in good condition. So the football match hasn't been played today. Yeah, so the negative of has. Okay, and if we were to make the question, we would then, again, with the compound verbs, we take the first element of the compound, in this case have, and we put it in front of the subject, in this case, many web posts. So, have many web posts been posted this week? Yes, there have been a lot of web posts posted this week. Alright, so the future simple. Again, in red, we take the future simple of the verb to be. Very simple. It works the same both in the singular and the plural, so will be. The vegetables will be planted today. Or, Mary's house will be decorated this week. In the negative form, the negative of will can be will not, or, more commonly, won't. Notice the pronunciation is won't. Okay? The fruit trees won't be planted today. And if we were to make the question, another compound verb, we take the first element, will, and put it in front of the subject, Mary's house. So, will Mary's house be decorated next week? Well, she's hoping it's going to be decorated this week. Okay. With modal verbs. Okay. With modal verbs, we will see a few examples now. We take the form of be that goes with the type of modal that we have. With should, for example, is followed by an infinitive. The project should be finished by Friday. With could, it goes the same. After could, we use the infinitive. So the factory could be closed next month. Okay, and if we make the question form, in this case we've used should. Again, the compound verb should goes in front of the subject. Should the project be finished by Monday? Really, we prefer it to be finished by Friday. Yes. Okay. Ought to. is a modal verb which is followed by the full infinitive. This is why we normally say it ought to, and then by the infinitive. So, my sister had an accident at the barbecue and she burnt her leg a little bit, but it's not very serious. Her burnt leg ought to be cured soon. Okay? And then we have to talk about a certain obligation, an external obligation. So this is followed by, but this has its own negative and question form as a normal verb in the present simple. So the design has to be completed by tomorrow. So then in the negative of have is doesn't have. Okay, in the singular, yes. In the plural, it would be don't have. So the design doesn't have to be completed by tomorrow. And then we made the question form, and in this case, it's a normal present simple of a normal verb. So then the question form would be, in this case, we put the auxiliary does in front of the subject, and then it's followed by the principal verb, and finally the past participle of the verb complete. So, does the design have to be completed by tomorrow? Go to learnenglishlanguagewell.com. Put English as a habit into your life. Remember, listen, speak, read, and write a little bit every day.